Hello, and welcome
to Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
And I'm Max.
And this is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales and folk tales, and today, mythology.
Hey.
And also,
you are here.
Hi, welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Oh my God, you guys.
you.
Happy April, you little scamp. So, this week, we decided for episode 155 to do a themed episode. You said mythology, which is a fantastic theme. I say yes every time. The story that I prepared today was so long. And also, the next time, the next episode that comes out in 2 weeks is April 24th, which is the day after my birthday. So I thought it would be kind of more fun for both of us, for varying different levels and degrees, if I tell my story this week, and then you tell your story next week. And that way, I don't have to edit a 4-hour-long episode.
Yes.
And also, I don't have to prepare a story for my birthday. It's like a little week off for Janey.
A week off for Janey.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah. It's really good because also our stories have a lot of common ground.
They do. I do kind of wish that you were going first this week. You'll see why. My story kind of happens directly after your story, so it's going to be a little bit out of order. Like, it happens directly after your story.
Interesting.
They're not, like, super combined, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
Be a lot of themes. We don't have to talk about that right now. What we can talk about is our Patreon.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's a Patreon.
There it is.
You could be a patron of us. If you go to Patreon for $3 a month, you can join us on our Discord where we hang out with all of our little guys. All
We have
you
all
little
those
guys.
Right now, all the little guys are talking about the April Fool's video that came out.
Yes.
And maybe we could talk about that at the end of the episode. Yeah. But we already talked to them about it, so.
Yeah. And
Get on board.
If you were there, you would be home by now, so.
If you were at home, you'd be on Discord right now. But you're not at home, are you? You're in the car, driving home from work.
Wow. Or for $7 a month, you can get access to the Discord plus a full-length bonus episode every single month. So that's like a regular episode that is the bonusest.
Yeah. And that came out this week. Hope you liked it. It was episode 27.
6.
It was episode 26. So, and yeah, it was good. I don't remember what I did for that bonus episode. Do you?
I don't either.
Okay, so it's a mystery to all of us.
We've been working on the April Fool's project for the past 4 months.
It's rotted our brains.
Yeah,
but...
and I kind of can't remember anything that's happened for most of that time.
That's true. That's true. Okay, well, since this is going to be a little bit of a long story, do you want to just jump in, get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, we
get in
will be right back after these messages of complete silence, because we don't do ads. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay. Today I'm going to be telling you a myth that I was not familiar with. And if you guys know me, I have my special interest is Greek mythology.
Greek mythology is your Roman Empire.
Greek mythology is my Roman Empire. Oh my God. I'm hanging out with somebody right now who I was like, he's not on TikTok. Like, there's no TikTok, there's no social media at all for him. So he doesn't know any of the trends at all. And I was like, oh, so there's like a trend. He's like, give me one example of a trend. And I was like, there's like the Roman Empire trend. And he's like, what about it? And I was like, well, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And he went, every day. Like, immediately. And I was like, no, you don't. He was like, every day. Daily. I'm almost never not thinking about the Roman Empire. He's like, I think about it so much. And then he went on this long tirade about what he thinks about it, about why he thinks it's important, about what would the future look like. He's like, I honestly think that we would be on Mars already if the Roman Empire had just succeeded. And then he just like went, I was like, okay. So what you're doing right now is confirming an internet bias.
Can I tell you how often I think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah.
Never.
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 The only time I ever think about the Roman Empire is when people bring up that trend.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to say, this is my Roman Empire, because I have a lot of other more interesting things to think about.
Yes. I think about the burning of the Library of Alexandria once a week.
Yes. Yeah.
Once a week.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the closest to that.
Yeah. Anyway, so apparently it's true, and I apologize to everybody that I said was faking it.
No. God, boys just love the Roman Empire.
Boys really do just love the Roman Empire.
Wild.
Anyway, so I love Greek mythology. That was a long little thing. But I have never actually studied this particular story, and I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to learn a new story. And boy, did I.
Boy, howdy.
I'm going to be telling you about Jason and Medea.
Fantastic.
What do you know about Jason and Medea? What's the thing that you, like the thing that sticks out for you?
Boys Trip.
Boy boys' trip.
That's the main thing.
There is
honestly.
a boys' trip. That's the thing I think about least with Jason and Medea.
Really? I think about the Argonauts all the time.
The Argonauts are your Roman Empire.
Maybe not all the time, but like
That's
when
so
I think
funny.
about classic teams of boys,
Yeah.
the Argonauts.
The Argonauts.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're
Boys
extremely
being friends.
right. Yeah.
The Argonauts.
Yeah, just a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
They really are just a bunch of friends.
Yeah. That's that. I also think it's really funny that it's one of those things like I don't know, the name Jason seems weirdly modern.
It does. I thought that the entire time that I was writing this, and now I'm like, I don't like Jason. Like, as I'm typing it.
Sorry,
I'm thinking
Jasons.
thinking of Jason Mantzoukas, love of my life, and I'm like, never mind, he's probably a douche. Like, this turned me against Jason Mantzoukas a little bit.
Aw. Yeah, it sounds like a weirdly modern name. It's like one of those ones like Tiffany,
Brittany,
where it's like they're like these ancient names, and it's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would not have pegged that. That's not the thing I think about first, but I love it.
I also, for Jason,
Mhm.
absolutely pictured Jason Stackhouse from True Blood.
No, don't ruin it for me.
No,
So.
no, it's Ryan Quanten.
Yeah, no.
No, it is.
I refuse. I'm just thinking
They're the same guy.
big ol' butt.
They're the same guy.
You might be a little bit right. I don't know. You might be a little bit right, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
So this story I'm going to tell you, I mostly got it from Apollonius of Rhodes, The Voyage of the Argos, which I've had on my shelf for the last 2 years and I haven't picked up. I have a lot of the Greek sources, like the older Greek sources, like the translated copies. And this one I've had for a long time. I can't remember why. There's a story in here that I was going to use for my Greek lovers whole thing, but I didn't end up using it. Anyway, so I haven't actually read this. And then I picked it up this week and I was like, let me just see if it's going to be one of those ancient texts that's hard to get through, that kind of reads like the Bible, where you have to push through to get the interesting parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's actually really interesting. It's easy to read. It's kind of reads like a novel in a lot of ways. So I highly suggest this, The Voyage of Argo, and you're going to get the entire story of Jason and the Argonauts. Medea is towards the end. It's only the last half, and it's not even her full story, because the rest of her story comes from Euripides' play, Medea.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some of this from Ovid's Metamorphoses and a spattering of websites. Okay. A spattering.
A smattering?
Oh, spattering. Totally right.
A splattering of websites.
I got a battering ram worth of websites, and I'm here to fucking break your door down. What does spattering mean? Is that not a word?
Spattering is splattering. It's like grease
spatter.
spatters. Grease spatters. Yeah.
Okay, well, then I also accept that as a nice thing to say. Okay, so before I get to Jason, I need to get some backstory in here of where he comes from and why his journey is starting at all. Okay. There was once a man named Aeson.
What?
Aeson.
God damn it.
God damn it. The rightful king of Thessaly, who had a half-brother named Peleus. The brothers shared a mother. Her name was Tiro. She was the daughter of Princess Salmoneus and Poseidon, the sea god. Poseidon. Peleus was power-hungry and vicious, and after a bitter feud, he overthrew his brother Aeson, who was the rightful king. And he spared him, but he killed all of his descendants so that there would never be a challenger to the throne. Okay, so that's this big battle they had condensed into one teeny tiny little paragraph. Also, I mentioned their grandparents because they're demigods. So that's where Jason is coming from, a line of demigods.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to Peleus, though, Aeson's wife, Alcmene I, had just given birth to, a newborn baby when he was being overthrown. Peleus had just entered, they were slaughtering everyone, including all of her children, and she had just given birth. And so to save her baby's life, she had all of her female attendants gather around the infant, and then they all just started wailing and crying, and they were, tearing out their hair, and every time anyone would get close, they'd be like, he was stillborn! Oh no, he was born dead! Wah! They were all just screaming over this baby screaming.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, pretty good. And all the men were like, oh man, women really do be crying over stillborn. Okay, moving on. Time to kill that 4-year-old. So then she smuggled her baby away to be raised by the centaur, Chiron.
Aw.
I know.
I love him.
Yes, I know. As I typed that, I was like, Max is going to say, oh, I love him.
I love him so much.
We are big old Chiron stands over here.
Yeah, he's such a good boy.
He's honestly probably the best one.
Probably the best one.
She called the baby Jason.
Oh my god, from the title.
Yeah. And he was the rightful heir to the throne Peleus now sat on. Peleus, not knowing about Jason, but still feeling uneasy about his kingship, he's like, I kind of got this in kind of like a screwed up way. Is there like...
kind of like a, you know how... It's like, it could have been better. There was a lot of murdering of children.
I don't know.
But
there was a lot more, like,
there could have been
slaughtering
more,
of
I guess.
babes than I thought there would be.
The destruction of an entire family line.
Whatever.
But listen, you want to make an omelet, you gotta crack a couple eggs.
You gotta break some eggs to make some eggs, is what I always say. Okay.
It's an insane thing to say.
Is that a weird thing for him to say? Yeah, well, he just killed a bunch of kids. So you pick your grape. So Peleus was like, I'm feeling a little uneasy about this. So he went to an oracle and he's like, do I have anything to fear now? I feel like I got rid of all my obstacles, but like, is there anything else I need to know about? And the oracle was like, let me think. Ah, yes. Beware the man who's wearing one shoe. And Peleus is like, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't know. I just see a man. He has one shoe. And he's like, he has one leg. And he's like, no, he's two legs. One shoe. I don't know. Peleus is like, well, that's so specific. Are you sure? He seems like he loses things. Are you sure I have to be afraid of him? And he's like, listen, man, I'm telling you what I'm seeing. There's a man. He has one shoe. Fucking bring it up to Apollo if you have a complaint.
An oracle is a seer, not an interpreter.
He has one shoe.
He's got one shoe.
That's one.
If someone starts murdering you and they have one shoe,
that's the one.
That's the one. That's when you need to be concerned.
So Peleus has this like detail in his head for a couple years, and he's just like, well, that seems ridiculous. Maybe I don't have to worry about it, actually.
I like the idea of being like, wow, someday you're going to be murdered by a man in like a silly little hat.
Okay, so there's this guy. He has a big old hoop earring, right?
One
hoop earring.
It's got a peacock feather dangling down off of it. He looks like Mr. T.
He looks great. What is this prophecy?
It's a real statement.
He's gonna shoot you in the face.
With a gun.
With a gun. It's not even funny. He's just also wearing an earring and a silly little hat. Yeah. Wow, actually that would scare the shit out of me. I don't like the specificity. So years pass, and one day, Peleus is holding games in honor of the god Poseidon, his grandfather, when a strong young man arrived in Aelcus, which is where he's from, wearing only one shoe. And everyone's like, oh, well now it makes sense.
What?
So this guy had lost it while he was carrying an old woman across the river Anaros. Little had he known, the old woman was actually Hera in disguise. And Hera fucking hated Peleus. So she's been waiting to get revenge on him for like, who knows what. Honestly, with Hera, who knows?
Yeah.
And so since he had shown her kindness and bravery when she was like an old woman, and also for other self-serving reasons, she had blessed him. And she'd been like, I'm going to help you take back your throne. All right. And Jason's like, cool, thank you, old lady. Even on his way. When a servant...
All right, you crazy old bat.
Well, I'm glad you're not wet. When a servant announced that a young man wearing only one sandal had arrived and he was requesting an audience with the king, Peleus immediately knew what was up. He's like, well, the time has come. I must die.
Oh, no.
Jason entered, and he was like, hi, I'm the rightful heir to the throne, and I'm here to challenge it. And Peleus was like, okay, yeah. No, I've been expecting you, so I'm not surprised, actually. He said, quote, to take my throne, which you shall, you must go on a quest to find the golden fleece. I believe this quote is from the Orphic Argonautica, but I am not sure. It's like the most quoted line of all time from this like particular passage, and nobody sources it. They all just get it from each other. So I went on Wikipedia, and they seem to think it's from the Orphic Argonautica, but they also don't seem sure. So take that with a grain of salt.
And one shoe.
Take that with one shoe. So a little bit about the Golden Fleece. The Golden Fleece was a fleece from a flying winged ram named Cryas Chrysomalis. Ovid wrote that the ram was the result of Poseidon turning a young woman named Theophany into a ewe and himself into a ram and then laying together.
Into a me?
Yeah, he turned her into a Max.
What?
He's like, this is better, actually.
Oh my god.
One thing, though, and he takes one of her shoes.
No.
Like Cinderella. So worldhistory.com says that Theophany was a beautiful woman. So, quote, she was often inundated with men. And they were like, that's why Poseidon did that. And I'm like, no, he wasn't doing a favor.
No.
Like, he stole her so that he wouldn't have to compete with all those other men.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, that's Poseidon for you. The ram, their baby, was sent by a cloud nymph. Well, I don't know her name because my autocorrect changed her name to Nephew. A cloud nymph named Nephew. So the ram was then sent by a cloud nymph to save her children from being sacrificed by their evil stepmother. They jumped on the ram's back and they began to fly over the ocean to safety. The son, whose name was Phrixus, he made it across okay. But the daughter, Helle, she fell off of its back and she plunged into the sea. And so when they reached Colchis, which is the island that they're on, Phrixus sacrificed the ram and laid its golden fleece in a sacred grove to Ares. I don't know if that's out of revenge, but that's where the golden fleece came from. Okay. It's like got a whole history. The fleece was guarded by a huge serpent, and it was being held by Aedes, son of the sun god Helios and brother to Circe, the witch.
Oh.
Yeah. If you've ever read Circe by Madeline Miller, the ram isn't necessarily talked about, but Aedes is a big character in it. Like her relationship to her younger brother. He turns out kind of evil.
Aww.
Yeah, she's also upset by that. So Peleus, he sent him off to get this golden fleece in hopes that it would be impossible to get it and that Jason would be killed on the journey. He underestimated how good Jason is at getting others to help him.
Sure.
Yeah, he's the Vin Diesel of this crew.
Oh, family.
He's family.
Oh my God.
So let's get into
Fast and Furious Argo.
Fast and Furious / Argo, where Ben Affleck, I guess, is in the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't want it. No, please no.
No.
Honestly, don't put Ben Affleck in the Fast and Furious franchise.
No, but like seriously, guys?
Guys, I've never been more serious in my whole goddamn life. Okay, so let's talk about Jason and the Argonauts.
Okay.
Athena compelled the shipbuilder Argus to build a ship for Jason, and he worked on assembling his crew.
Argus?
His name is Argus. He's going to be one of the Argonauts. But yeah, the ship Argo is named after the shipbuilder Argus.
Is he the same guy that has all the eyes? Or is that a different guy?
That's a different guy. This is just like a shipbuilder.
Also named Argus.
Argus. Okay. After consulting with his foster dad, Chiron, he's like, hey, Chiron, you know a lot of things. Who should I get for my trip? They decided the first person he would recruit was Orpheus. Yes, that Orpheus. But this is before he got all sad and introspective.
Yeah.
Orpheus was the son of the muse Calliope, and, quote, they say that with the music of his voice he enchanted stubborn mountain rocks and rushing streams, end quote. Orpheus was hot as shit.
Yeah.
Just is. Strategically, it made a lot of sense to hire a friendly bard to join the crew first. This was going to be a long, perilous journey where a bunch of dudes would be stuck on a ship together. So Orpheus was going to help them recruit people and also keep them all from killing each other.
Yeah.
I feel like we need TV on this ship.
Nothing better for morale than just one guy with an acoustic guitar.
That's actually not true for a party with girls, but it is true for a bunch of dudes on a ship.
It's just boys, yeah.
Absolutely.
How much time do you think they spent making up very silly songs together?
All of them. Genuinely all of them. I think the entire time they were making up silly songs together.
I just love the one big ship and all of the guys on it and they're singing a song about poop.
That all of their songs were about poop and dicks and kissing girls. Also of note on this voyage, there's 50 people, so I'm only going to tell you a couple that I think are noteworthy. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are Aretus and Echion. They are sons of Hermes, and they are, quote, endowed with all his guile. Just little scamps.
Aw.
Yeah, I just like the little scamp twins. That's cool. There's also Heracles was on this voyage. He was an Argonaut. Castor and Pollux. Peleus, who would later become the father of Achilles. And Atalanta, the only female Argonaut who was a skilled huntress and runner. And I wrote, go girls.
Yeah, she's I told for the last mythology episode, Atalanta and the golden apple and the Minoan boar.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Caledonian boar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And also, she's just a badass.
She
but
really
I love
is.
that they were like, okay, and we obviously need Atalanta, and who else can be on this ship? Like, their token girl.
You said Peleus? The father of Achilles, different from Peleus, the king that...
He was a king.
The king that told Jason to go get the fleece.
Oh, yeah, you're totally right. This is the one that told Jason to get the fleece is Pelias. Peleus?
Like Pelias, maybe?
It's not spelled like Pelias. I mean, it could be, but I call him Peleus. And this one could be Peleus, because it's Peleus. Peleus.
Good to know.
Yeah. They are different, though. That's a good, I like the idea that Peleus is like, and it's me. The different letters.
And I'm coming too.
There's also Typhus, an expert mariner who, quote, could sense the coming of a swell across the open sea and learn from sun and star when storms were brewing or a ship might sail. He had been recruited by Athena, who was like, guys, you need somebody to steer the boat. I know that you guys are having a fun time being scams and making up stupid songs, but no one can steer the boat. Tired of being the only one with fucking sense. So all in all, there are 50 heroes on the Argo. They had a couple of adventures on the way to retrieve the Golden Fleece, but eventually they made it to Colchis. I'm skipping all of them because this is a long story.
Yeah.
Their first obstacle was going to be approaching Aeetes, the king. Should they speak to him face to face and be like, hey, we were sent to get the Golden Fleece. It's important because blank, blank, blank. Or should they go behind his back and take it and be little scamps? Mm. You know, Hermes' son were like, yeah, let's take it, be scamps. Our father is the god of thieves.
Yep.
And little scamp behavior. They rode the Argo into some reedy marshes, and they anchored her there, hidden from view, and then they all sat around debating the subject.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Hera and Athena were also debating what to do. Like, they talk about how all the gods are watching this voyage, and then Hera kind of looks at Athena and, like, motions to, like, she's like, let's go talk in private. Yeah.
Can I just talk to you really quickly?
Yeah, they're like, she's like angling her head, like, come on. And they get to a room and Hera's like, hey, what do we do? She's like, honestly, what should they do? Should they go ask him face to face or should they just go take it? Like, you're the strategist. What should you do? And Athena's like, listen, I've been racking my brain about this. Long before this voyage even started, I knew that we were going to get it here, but I can't think of a single thing that would make sense. Because, like, he's not going to, like, just give them the Golden Fleece. He might just kill them. He's kind of a dick.
Uh-oh.
So, quote, for a while, the two goddesses sat staring at the floor, each lost in her own perplexities. Finally, Hera spoke. She said, you're not going to like this. But what if we, like, talk to Aphrodite? And Athena's like, fuck it, no. And she's like, I think we need her. And she's like, who needs her? No one needs her. She's all boobs. We don't need those. Certainly not me. And Hera's like, you got a weird thing with Aphrodite, I know, but, like, I think we might need her. She said, if we can get her boy, just Eros.
Eros?
Yes. They never say his name. He's like a little kid at this point, and they refuse to say his name. All the other guards are like, get your boy. So she said, if we can get your boy to shoot Aeetes' daughter Medea to make her fall in love with Jason, we might not have to worry about Aeetes at all. We might be able to, like, get Medea to do it for us. So Athena and Aphrodite, they have this fraught history, to say the very least. But to say the most, Athena is a dick to Ares, and Aphrodite is loyal to her man. Mm-hmm. She doesn't like that. That's like the first thing Aphrodite has beef with her about, is she's like, hey, stop being a dick to Ares. He's never done anything to you. You swooped in and, like, turned everyone against him and also kind of stole his job. And now you're a dick to him. He's never done anything to you.
I also feel like this is, like, my imposition of characters on this, but it's very I mean, Athena's like the big sister, and she's the little sister. Ares was first. Ares was already a god when Athena came out of Zeus. Damn.
I know. She came in. Here's the thing. Sorry. I love Ares and Aphrodite. Here's the thing about Ares, is he was the god of war, and the only people that appreciated him were the Spartans, who loved Ares.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like, war sucks. It's all, like, death and slavery and, like, sexual assault and all of the horrible and losing your livelihood, and it lasts for years and years and years because we're in Greece. And it sucks. So everyone was like, this is awful. And then when Athena came around, she was not the goddess of war, she was the goddess of warcraft. And they were like, actually, this is all the fun parts of war. This is the strategy, and this is the sneakiness, and, like, the war play and stuff like that. And so then people started to be like, well, obviously that's the only thing good about war. And so then all the gods in Olympus, all the stories started being like, they were all, like, abusing Ares constantly. But Ares didn't ask to be born.
He
was literally just given that goddamn title.
Is Athena older than Aphrodite?
Yes. Yes, I believe she is. Depending on the source. Here's the thing about all Greek mythology. It all depends on the source. In Hesiod's Theogony, which is our oldest surviving text, Aphrodite is one of the oldest creatures, basically. Like, she's one of the first goddesses to, like, rise from the sea. It's like a whole thing. Eros is the oldest being. He's not Aphrodite's son in the theogony. It's all kind of confusing. It depends on the whole timeline and age and stuff like that. But for the most part, Ares, I believe, always does come first before Athena. Because it's war and then warcraft.
Yeah. I'm thinking, like, as far as Aphrodite and Athena, like, their relationship as being sisters and having kind of parallel opposite focuses, where one of them is, like, focused on, like, love and that kind of thing. And then the other one's very focused on, like, we've got to do this and we've got to do it like this. And they're like, just, that feels like a very, like, contentious sister relationship.
Well, especially considering it's the whole, like, wisdom or beauty, you know, like, it's that sort of thing. I will say they're not sisters, though. Because Aphrodite is not a child of Zeus. She's a result of Zeus cutting off Kronos cutting off Uranus's balls and it going into the ocean and then forming Aphrodite. So she rises from the ocean and comes in a little bit later.
I knew that.
I feel like a lot of people do consider her a child of Zeus, but it's just because Zeus immediately married her off as if he was her goddamn dad. Okay. Guys, I'm so sorry about that. I have ADHD when it comes to Greek mythology. So they have this fraught history. Hera's like, we need to go to Aphrodite. And Athena's like, I just feel like she's not going to want to talk to me because I don't want to talk to her. But Athena, who is a strategist above all things, was like, okay, well, I think this is the way to go. So she smiles and she says, quote, sprung as I am from Zeus, I have never felt the arrows of the boy. And of love charms I know nothing. However, if you are satisfied with the idea, I will certainly go with you. But when we meet her, you must be the one to speak. End quote.
She does not want to talk to me.
And I do not want to talk to her. They found her in her palace, brushing her long hair with a golden comb before braiding it. And as she's braiding it, she kind of sees these two goddesses approaching from outside. And she stopped and she called them in and she settled them into, and it says easy chairs.
She got lazy boys.
I think that means something different for Apollonius of Rhodes. Anyway, she settled them into easy chairs before sitting back down and gathering up her unfinished locks with both hands. Messy bun.
Aw.
Iconic. So Aphrodite gathers her hair in a messy bun, and she smiles mockingly at them, and she says, quote, ladies, you honor me. What brings you here after so long? We have seen so little of you in the past. To what then do I owe a visit from the greatest goddesses of all? End quote. She's being bitchy from moment one.
I love it.
That's why I'm saying this book reads like a novel. Like, I was cracking up. Hera was like, okay, let me tell you a little bit about Jason. She explains the whole situation. She's like, listen, and also, not only is he the rightful heir, this guy came, he slaughtered all these babies, like, he did all this stuff, but also, which I'm like, Hera, you can't talk about people slaughtering babies. No. That's literally your whole thing.
Yeah.
But she's like, also, I disguised myself as a feeble old woman, and he carried me across a raging river. So please help him. He needs to take his rightful place. He deserves it. Help him get the golden fleece. Please. And Aphrodite was like, oh my god, Hera, the queen of all gods, just said please to me. Jesus. She's like listening to her beg, and she's like, okay. And so she says, like, well, how can I help? I'll do whatever, because obviously it's really important to you. And I'll do it for no money. Don't worry. She says, I'll do it for no recompense.
Wow.
Yeah. And Hera was like, it's interesting that you should say that. We actually don't need your help. Exactly. She says, we need your boy to, quote, use his wizardry to make Aedes' daughter fall in love with Jason. She is something of a witch herself. End quote. And Aphrodite says, he's more likely to obey you than me. She told them little Eros was kind of a handful. He was a total brat. She says, quote, he defies me and always does the opposite of what I say, end quote. She told him that half the time she wanted to, quote, break his bow and wicked arrows in his very sight. Like, this is the most relatable Aphrodite will ever be.
That's really good.
She's like, my son's kind of a dick, all right? At one point, she was, like, trying to discipline him, and he was like, I'm going to shoot you with my arrows. Don't touch me, okay? Like... She's like, I want to break his toys because he keeps threatening to shoot me with them if he gets mad at me.
This is why we don't give bows and arrows to children.
That's true. We've learned since ancient Greece. Hera and Athena at this point exchanged glances and like smiled, and Aphrodite's like, okay, well, forget it. I shouldn't complain to you anyway. I'll see what I can do. Get out of here. She went down to Olympus to look for Eros, who she found hanging out with Ganymede.
Aw.
Quick story time. And I will make this quick. No. Ganymede was a little shepherd boy who Zeus had seen, and he decided to kidnap him for nefarious reasons. He had turned into an eagle, and he had carried the little boy off from where he was being a shepherd to Olympus. And then he had, like, paid his parents a ton of money, even though they were like, no, we just want our son back. Like, no, we'll take him back, thank you. And he's like, no, here's more money. And since he's Zeus and they couldn't fight him, eventually they had to be like, I guess that's fine because we have nothing else to do. And so now he just, like, kidnapped their son. Eventually, in the myth, Ganymede kind of starts to grow up. He's being the cupbearer. And Hera starts to get jealous and, like, suspicious because she hadn't suspected him because he's a little boy and that hasn't been Zeus's tastes in the past. But she starts getting, like, suspicious. And Zeus is like, oh, I have to, like, protect you. So he puts this little boy into a constellation where he has to watch his family and his entire country die during the Trojan War from, like, the heavens. And there's, like, a myth where he's just, like, up there crying, being like, can you turn me around at least? I don't want to see this. I know, that's Ganymede. Zeus can go fuck himself. Anyway, Ganymede, who's still a little boy at this point, and Eros are the same age. So they play together quite a bit. And as you can imagine, Eros is a little dick and he's a terrible friend. He's not good. Aphrodite, she goes down to, like, find Eros, and she sees them in, like, Zeus's orchard. And they're playing together with golden knuckle bones. Quote, Eros, the greedy boy, was standing there with a whole handful of them clutched to his breast and a happy flush mantling his cheeks. Nearby sat Ganymede, hunched up, silent and disconsolate, with only 2 left.
Aww.
He lost those 2 really quickly, and he left in despair, and Eros just laughed, and he's like, I won! And he danced around being a really bad winner.
I love it.
2 little boys.
Yeah. They're just over there playing knuckles.
I've never actually heard any myth like this, talking about the gods as children. Mm-hmm. I know that, like, we see Cupid as a little boy, but Eros we see as, like, a grown man. And we also don't usually see the gods depicted as children. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there's no, like, Zeus as a little boy. It's like within the year he becomes a full-grown man. Usually that's the timeline. At least in Hesiod's Theogony, he talks about them growing up within a year. So,
yeah.
This is the first time that I'm like, yeah, it makes sense that Eros would be a little shit. Actually, no, we see Eros as a little boy when he meets Apollo. When Apollo is a teenager. I take it back. We also see Hermes as a little boy. I take it back.
And Athena with Pallas.
Pallas and Athena. You're totally... Okay, I take it back. I was wrong. Aphrodite went up to her boy. She took his chin in her hand and she said, why this triumphant smile, you rascal? I do believe you won the game unfairly by cheating a beginner. And Eros is like, so? I'm a god. I'm allowed to cheat. But she shook it off and she was like, can I ask you for a favor? Can you please make Medea fall in love with Jason? And she says in exchange she'd give him one of Zeus's lovely toys, a ball made of golden hoops laced together all around with double stitching. And she says when you throw it, it leaves a fiery train behind it like a meteor in the sky. And Eros is like, oh my god! And he, like, threw his arms around his mom and he just starts, like, begging her. He's like, please give me it now. Can I have it now? I just want to play with it now. And she refused. She kissed his cheeks and she told him that he needed to shoot Medea first and then he could play with his new ball. Eros gathered up his knuckle bones. He counted them very carefully. Then he put them in his mom's pocket. And then he fetched... So cute. I know. I really spent a lot more time on Eros as a little boy than I needed to. But I really love all the detail paid attention to him. Then he fetched his quiver where it was leaning against a tree. He slung it over his shoulder with a golden strap. He picked up his crooked little bow, and he made his way out of Olympus and flew down towards Earth. Meanwhile, the Argonauts were still debating what to do in their ship. Jason's like, okay, listen, I've heard all the debates. I think I've made a decision. Tell me if you think this is right. And he always says to his Argonauts, he's like, guys, I trust you. If you say this isn't a good plan, we won't do it. But this is the plan I think we should go with. He says he wants all of the Argonauts to stay quietly on board while he goes to Hades' palace with the sons of Phrixus. Remember the boy who sacrificed the golden ram? Mm-hmm. This is his whole thing. So he has a couple of Hades' like grandchildren on board with him. And I think one of, Smart. On board with him and the Argonauts. And he's like, I'm going to take those guys up there because people won't think it's weird that they're visiting their home. And he says, I'm going to tell Hades what I need. And then depending on his reaction, we'll determine what our next step is. And everyone's like, yeah. Sure. Honestly, that's the only, like, I don't know why we were debating this. Yes, go up there and have the sons ask their mom what to do, basically. Yeah. So Hera helped them sneak up to the palace by covering the ground with a thick mist, and she cleared it once they reached the palace so nobody saw where they were coming from. And inside a nearby building lived 2 women. I'm so sorry about this pronunciation. I meant to look it up. Chalciope? Chalciope. Chalciope. Inside a nearby building lived Chalciope and Medea, the 2 daughters of Aedes. Normally, Medea would be at the temple of Hecate, where she was a devout priestess because she's a witch, but Hera had compelled her to stay inside today. So she was looking out a window when she saw these men suddenly appear out of the mist, and she screamed. She was like, "Oh my god, there's just some guys there!" And Chalciope and her maids dropped their yarn and spindles, and they ran out the door to see what was happening. The 2 sons of Phrixus were Chalciope's children, and so she was overjoyed. She's like, "My boys are back. I'm so excited." She ran, she hugged them, she cried. They caught up together. She was like, "I can't believe you left your mother. Don't you love me?" And they were like, "Mom, what?" Just stop it. And soon enough,
Mom, in front of Jason?
It's not Jason who's here. Jason, you don't know Jason yet, but he's kind of a big deal. Soon enough, Aedes came out of his house, and the whole courtyard was astir. Men started to slaughter bulls for a feast. People chopped firewood. Some people prepared water for baths. It was just a huge commotion. And in that commotion, little Eros had arrived at this palace, and he was passing through the clean air unseen. He strung his bow and, quote, from his quiver took a new arrow fraught with pain. He ran to Jason and crouched low at his feet, fitting the notch to the middle of the string. Then he drew the bow back as far as his little hands could stretch, and he shot at Medea. It was a straight shot, quote, and her heart stood still.
Oh my god, she died.
Kind of. I'm going to do a lot of quotes for this part just because I like the way that they talk about the arrows. Quote, with a happy laugh, Eros sped out of the high-roofed hall on his way back, leaving his shaft deep in the girl's breast, hot as fire. He's a baby. Okay, be so real, Max.
You can't say hot shaft and breast in the same sentence.
I said shaft deep and then hot as fire in her breast. After this, Medea couldn't stop glancing at Jason. All else was forgotten. She hadn't cared about him at all before. It's that she was kind of turned off by all of them, and now she suddenly can't stop looking at him. Quote, her heart, brimful of this new agony, throbbed within her and overflowed with the sweetness of the pain. End quote. By now, the servants had prepared a banquet for the newcomers, who everyone just assumed were there to visit their mom with their new friend, Jason. Mm-hmm. And as they ate, Aedes was like, "Hey, why are you guys back so soon from your journey? You left saying you were going to be gone for a while, and now suddenly you're back, and it's kind of early. Did you fail?" What happened?
Shit.
The oldest of his grandsons, Argus, the shipbuilder, explained their journey, and he introduced Jason. And he was like, "Hey, he kind of needs the golden fleece. That's why we're here. He needs to reclaim his rightful spot on the throne. So, can we have it?" And Aedes was pissed. He was like, "Okay, if you hadn't eaten at my table first, I would tear out your tongues and chop off your hands. But, rules of hospitality says I've already fed you, so now you're my guests." And that's stupid. You knew that was going to happen.
Damn.
So he was like, "You tricked me. I should have been able to cut out your tongues." Jason at this point was like, "Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but please don't chop off our hands." He said basically "Hear me out. Take pity. We're not here to fight you. We're not here to steal from you. This is the only way for us to make things right on my end." But the king, who was pissed, was like, "I'm putting an end to this." He said, quote, "If you are really children of the gods or have other grounds for approaching me as equals in the course of your piratical adventure, I will let you have the golden fleece. That is, if you still want it when I have put you to the proof." So he told Jason that in order to get the fleece, he'd have to accomplish some things first. He had some challenges. First, he'd have to yoke a pair of bronze-footed, fire-breathing bulls. Then he'd need to plow a 4-acre field, which doesn't seem like it's a hard thing, but it is, because he's on top of some fire-breathing bulls.
Sure.
He'd have to sow the furrows with the teeth of a monstrous serpent, which would come up in the form of armed men that he'd have to cut down and kill with a spear. And he could start in the morning, and he must be done by the time the sun went down. He's like, if you can do all that in one day, then you can have the golden fleece. He has to basically, fight mythical creatures, plow a whole field, and then also fight an army.
Yeah. He's got to do a big battle, and also some chores.
Yeah, he just, honestly, Aedes is like, I do this every month, so
He does?
Yeah, apparently that's what he does. Aedes is the one that does all this.
Why?
Okay, Aedes is also a son of Helios. He's also a witch, kind of. He has the same gene. The gene. Yeah, all of the children of the nymph, I forget her name, the nymph that gave birth to Circe, Helios, and Phaedra. Phaedra? Yeah. And all the other ones. Phaedra?
Mm-hmm.
She's in the Minos story. Anyway, I think it's Phaedra. They all have, magical powers. They're kind of dark witches and warlocks.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them, specifically descendants of the sun god being like witches.
Yeah. There is like a whole thing where I can't get into it. Okay.
Yeah. I just mean like usually in modern depictions it's like, ooh, and the moon and femininity and everything like that. I think it's really cool.
No, these ones are very specifically witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. The children were actually so powerful that nymph was forced to stop having children with him. Like, that was like a thing where they're like, your kids are actually too fucking scary. They're too powerful.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So he gave him all these tasks, right? Jason listened to this. His eyes were on the floor. And when the king finished speaking, he sat silently for a while, kind of like weighing this. And finally, he told the king that he would take on these challenges, even if it killed him. He's like, it sounds like it's going to kill me. But like, I don't really think you gave me much choice. So like, yes. And Aedes was like, good, go back now to your company. And quote, if you hesitate to yoke the bulls or shirk the deadly harvesting, I will take the matter up myself in a manner calculated to make others shrink from coming here and pestering their betters. End quote.
All right.
So Jason and the men rose and left. And as they went out, Jason's comeliness and charm singled him out from all the rest, and Medea stared in awe. Her heart, quote, smoldered with pain, and as he passed from her sight, her soul crept out of her as in a dream and fluttered in his steps.
Shit.
Yeah, she got it bad. This isn't her fault, though.
No.
I'm adding so much of how they talk about her being shot by this arrow because it seems so fucking painful. And also, it kind of drives her crazy. Yeah, Medea, this was not her choice.
I'm, for the record, still picturing Jason Stackhouse.
Okay, I love it.
He's
hot. They say specifically, he's hot.
Hot, nice, charming, maybe a little dumb.
Oh, very dumb.
Yeah.
You're totally right. He's a total Jason Stackhouse.
He's like, well,
I guess.
I'm already here. I guess.
Well, damn, King.
I'm already on a quest. I can't go on another quest.
There's too many quests. That night, Medea laid awake, replaying everything in her mind over and over. She heard his voice, she saw his face, and she became overwhelmed with her fear for his life. She sobbed all night, and she started to pray to Hecate. She said, quote, let him live to reach his home, but if he must be conquered by the bulls, may he first learn that I, for one, do not rejoice in his cruel fate. She's like, let him know how much I loved him. As she was crying her eyes out in her bedroom, Jason and his men were talking on their ship. And as they were all sitting there, like, talking, Argus was like, you're not going to like this. But what if we reached out to Medea? She's young. She's hot. She thinks you're hot. She's magic. She could end this. She's super powerful and everybody underestimates her. What if we just let her do the work for you? Jason listened and he nodded and he was like, Argus, I trust you. If you think it's a good idea, I think you should go talk to your mother and ask her to like reach out to Medea and like get her to help, because I think that's going to be the best bet, is to her to go to her sister, you know? And then he said, quote, but oh, how bleak the prospect is, with our one hope of seeing home again in women's hands. End quote.
I would love to know what Atalanta thinks of this.
They never mention Atalanta once in the Voyage of the Argo.
I like to believe that that's because she spent the whole time being like, shut the fuck up.
Everybody shut the fuck up.
You're being an asshole.
I have a feeling Atalanta didn't do a whole lot of talking on this voyage. I think that she was a lot of like the muscle. what it feels like. Later on, though, I don't mention this in this because it's not part of the story, but at one point, Atalanta is dying and Medea saves her life. There's like a whole like girls helping girls thing in
girls.
Yeah, girls. Jason ran the plan by his men, who were also not thrilled to be relying on stupid women.
Ugh.
But they saw no other choice, and they really wanted Jason to succeed. Meanwhile, Aedes gathered his men, and he told them as soon as the bulls tore Jason to pieces, he wanted them to strip a forest of brushwood and burn the Argos with every man on board, including his own grandchildren.
What the fuck?
He's like, I don't trust them, and I want to get rid of them. I don't trust anybody anymore. There's been like a weird prophecy that I'm going to be betrayed. And then they were like, what about your daughters? And he's like, they would never betray me. He like very specifically is not scared of Medea.
Hilarious.
Argus reached his mother's house, and he was begging her to get Medea to help them. Chalciope had also thought of this. The second she'd heard about their mission, she was like, oh my god, my sons are in danger. Oh my god, my dad's going to kill them. But she was afraid Medea wouldn't help them and instead would tell on them to their father. So she's like, we got to be kind of tricky. How are we going to like approach her where she doesn't just go back and like blab about us? Medea was having a nightmare that she was forced to choose between Jason and her parents, though, and she was choosing Jason in her dream. She's like, but Daddy, I love him. In her dream, her parents screamed and raged at her, and she awoke with their cries in her ears. And she's like, my parents were mad at me in my dream. She just cried her eyes out because she's super young. She's just a kid. So she sat up, she's shivering and crying, and she decides, she's like, I'm going to go to my sister, and I'm going to offer my help. I'm going to save Jason. That's what I'm going to do. So she gets up, she's resolute, she walks out of her room into the hallway, and then she runs back into her room, and she, shakes her a little bit, and she's like, no, I can't possibly. Oh my God. And then she takes a deep breath. She gathers herself, and she storms out of her room towards her sister's room, and then she ran back to her room terrified. She does this, a couple of times, and then she paces, takes a deep breath, she walks out her room, and then she turns back around again, and she throws herself face down on her bed, and she screams into her pillow.
Oh, no.
5 minutes straight. Soon, though, one of her servants, who heard her screaming into her pillow, came, and seeing her mistress lying in tears, she ran to tell Chalciope, who was still sitting with her sons. She ran through the house to her little sister's room, and she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? Are you having a nightmare? And Medea was like, I really want to tell her everything, but I'm scared. And so instead she said, I'm scared for your sons. She said, I'm afraid our father will destroy them out of hand, strangers and all. That'd be terrible. She told her, she's like, I had a dream that our father killed them all. So... And at this point, what she was trying to do was get Chalciope to be the one to make the first move. She's like, if you ask me to save your sons, I will totally do it. But, I'm not brave enough to ask you to ask me that.
I don't want to be like, let me save your sons.
Yeah.
But
Chalciope, horrified, finally came out and was like, hey, I need you to do whatever you can to save my sons. That sounds like a prophetic dream. And Medea's like, does it? Oh, does it actually? She broke down, she wept on her sister's knees, and Medea was like, of course I will. I'll do anything as long as that's what you want, I'll do that. I don't care.
But you're really going to owe me one.
Oh my God. Personally, Medea didn't have any stake in it at all, but if her sister was asking, sure, whatever. After her sister left, Medea stayed up all night, tossing and turning and yearning for Jason. Okay, so this is a thing, this is what gets me, is that she genuinely does not want to betray her father. It doesn't really talk about Medea's relationship with her dad before, but Medea seems pretty loyal. She's not she would have never betrayed her family. She would never have just gone off after this man. She would have let her dad do what he was going to do. So she's really genuinely tortured by this, which is not something we notice in Theseus and Ariadne. It's just, it's all Medea. I feel bad for Medea. Okay, quote, tears of pity ran down her cheeks, and her whole body was possessed by agony, a searing pain which shot along her nerves and deep into the nape of her neck, that vulnerable spot where the relentless archery of love causes the keenest of pangs. End quote. At once she was overcome with the desire to give Jason all the magic she possessed to quell the bulls, but the next moment she was like, I'd rather die than betray my father. I would never do this. And also she's like, it makes no sense. Why am I feeling like this? And she's just crying her eyes out and just throwing up everywhere. So, feeling like she was going mad, she decided, she's like, that's it. I'm going to do something. She grabbed a box where she kept all of her drugs, healing or deadly, and she wept as she opened it. She decided then and there she was going to end her suffering and take a poison from the box to end her life.
Oh my God, she's had a crush for 5 minutes and she's like, I guess I'll just die. I
have to be dead.
I'm a monster.
But I'm saying this is Eros. Fuck yeah. Eros. Eros has never done anything good, and I'm going to go ahead and say that proudly. But then, as she was getting ready to take this poison, she was overcome with the hateful thought of death, and she froze in horror. She thought of all the pleasures of life. She remembered what it was like to be a little girl playing with friends. This is what gets her out of wanting to kill herself. She's like, oh my God, I used to be a little girl and I used to play all the time. And I'm like, Medea, you're still a little girl.
Go play, girl.
So, quote, prompted by Hera, she changed her mind and put the box away. When dawn came, she gathered up her 12 maids, and she was like, we're going to go to the temple of Hecate. While they were getting the carriage ready, she pulled a magic ointment from the box. It was a salve named after Prometheus. Quote, a man had only to smear it on his body after propitiating the only begotten maiden with a midnight offering to become invulnerable by sword or fire, and for that day to surpass him in strength and daring. End quote.
Surpass Prometheus?
The man who had the ointment on. I'm going to explain it a little bit further later. Okay. Don't worry. That was just
Go back to the propitiating?
After propitiating the only begotten maiden with a midnight offering.
What does that mean?
I'm going to explain it so soon.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Does that mean, is it a sex salve, I guess, is what I'm asking?
It could be. If you're afraid of your penis getting put in fire. The plant it was from sprang up from underneath Prometheus as his liver was eaten by the eagle. So wherever his blood dropped, this like plant would like grow up out of the ground. She had to do a bunch of witchy stuff to make this, right? Yeah. And she had made it all herself. In order to make it, she had to call on Brimo, nurse of youth, Brimo, night wanderer of the underworld, and Brimo, queen of the dead.
3 Brimos?
Brimo is an epithet for angry or terrifying and is often associated with the goddesses Demeter, Hecate, and Persephone.
Oh.
So Demeter, so Brimo, nurse of youth, is Demeter. Brimo, night wanderer of the underworld, Hecate, and Brimo, Persephone? Queen of the dead, is Persephone.
Ah. Yeah. I like that.
I do too. I thought that was fun.
I love...
They're also sometimes seen as the three-faced goddess. The three-faced goddess is sometimes seen as Demeter, Hecate, and Persephone.
That makes sense. That's like the mother, maiden, crone.
Exactly.
I love that she called in all the Brimos.
She's like, all the Brimos, I need your help. I need the sex ointment. The dark earth shook and rumbled underneath Prometheus when the root was cut, and Prometheus himself groaned in the anguish of his soul. So she really had to kind of go through some pangs to make this thing. She hid the ointment in her girdle, which the story says several times smells good.
The girdle or the ointment?
The girdle.
No, why? Does it say that?
It says that it smells good. It says it like 7 times in the same page. She got in the carriage, and then she took off for the temple of Hecate. They had all been told not to wander around while the strangers were in town, and none of the other women in the village would dare be in the temple today, so it was completely empty. And she was like, maids, since we're already here, let's party.
Classic.
Yeah. She explained, she's like, I have to tell you guys something, but you have to promise not to be mad at me. I actually brought us all up here on today when we're not supposed to be here as a scheme. My sister asked me to meet with Jason, who I don't even care about.
Ugh. It's
anyway,
like, blah.
She wants me to try to like, yeah, she's like, she wants me to try to like save his life, I guess, and her son's lives, and go against my father. So I'm going to meet with him alone today. But fear not, I'm actually going to be there as like a double spy. So I'm actually going to meet with him, pretend to give him something good. I'm going to give him something bad. It's going to kill him. And so my father will win, and I'm actually doing something good for the town. And they're like, oh, okay. And he's like, best part, if he brings his gifts and hands them over, I mean to share them out among ourselves. So basically she's like, I'm going to give you so many presents if you just like go with this. He's going to bring so many presents. Girls, don't even worry about it. And all of her maids were like, okay, we like presents.
Yeah.
Fine. Jason and his companions went to the temple to meet with her, with a plan for him to seduce her into helping him. They're like, use all of your wiles.
All of your manly wiles.
Yeah. And he was like, okay. And then they like messed up his hair a little bit and unbuttoned one button. And then the story is like, they were in awe of how good he looked.
I love the boys giving him a makeover.
They were like, and the whole time they're like, okay, you have to like, they're like pumping him. Argus is like, here's the thing, this is what girls like. And the other people are like, yeah, this is what girls like. And Jason's like, I know what girls like. This ain't my first rodeo. That's enough buttons. I don't want to look like a slut.
I just like, there's so much about this story that is like deeply fucked up. All of the Medea stuff.
Yes.
Deeply fucked up. This story just has a lot going on.
It's so goofy.
However,
I know, it's charming.
I love to think of it as like boys' trip.
Boys' trip. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
He had obviously been blessed by the gods that day. Like, also the goddesses were like throwing magic at him. They're like, look hotter. And I'm like, you're gonna kill Medea. Like, she's good.
She's gonna die.
She might actually die. As they neared the temple, all the boys are with him, right? They're like pumping him up. They're like, yeah, let's go meet Medea. And as they're going, a bird with Hera's voice called out at them and said, get lost. Girls won't talk about love if there are witnesses. Stop. Get away from me. Like, all of his friends are just getting attacked by birds. And Jason's like, I guess I'll go alone. And they're like, yeah, you got this. We'll just be back here, not up there. When Jason appeared, Medea went completely still, her cheeks flushed, she stood rooted to the ground, and all her servants left as they had been instructed. Quote, the pair of them stood face to face without a word or sound, like oaks or tall pines that stand in the mountains side by side in silence when the air is still, but when the wind has stirred them, chatter without end. End quote. So they're just not talking. This story is more romantic than it needs to be. Just looking at each other.
I also love about this story that they were like, and he got all made up nice. He like rolled up his sleeves and everything.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, and Medea was there. She showed up to this business.
Also there.
I love that they were like, and she also got super pretty so that she could reverse seduce it.
Okay, I actually, like, she's not there to seduce him, but it does talk about her like combing her hair. But that's because she spent all night like crying.
Yeah, I mean,
she washes her face and then like she puts on a really smelly girdle.
A good smelly girdle. I just like that it's not like...
No, this is very much like weird female gaze.
Yes.
On Jason. Yeah, this is 100% the female gaze on Jason for a very long time. So Jason eventually breaks the tension by he was like, hey, I'm alone, so you don't have to like be scared. It's just me, and I would never hurt you. And also, I would doubly never hurt you because we're in like a holy temple right now. So like, you're safe, I promise. Like, you're good. And then she's still not talking to him. And he's like, okay, well,
I'm Jason.
That's what he says. He's like, I'm Jason. It's nice to meet you. He's like, please help me. I'm going to die if you don't help me. And that'll suck. And I got to tell you, the only reason why I'm doing this is because like this guy killed all of my family except for my dad. And I love my dad so much. You would like my dad, actually. He's like just word vomiting all of his things. He's like, if you helped me, I'd sing your praises all over the world. My men would sing your praises. Like, everyone would know who you are. You'd be a hero. And then he also is like, and you would be a lot like Ariadne. And he talks about Ariadne. He's like, she's the Pasiphae, not Phaedra. So he's like, you'd be a lot like Ariadne. She's the daughter of Minos and Pasiphae. And she helped Theseus in like a really similar way. The stories are actually really, really similar. It's almost like they were competing cities. Anyway. So he's like, that's crazy. So he like references all of Ariadne's tale. And he says, after she helped him, Theseus sailed away with her. And now she's a constellation. Isn't that an amazing love story? You could have that too. And I hate it.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Medea was completely smitten by this. And as he's talking, like, she slowly, like, kind of loosens up a little bit, and she draws out the ointment from her good-smelling girdle, and she placed it into his hands. And then they smiled at each other. And at last, she was like, okay, this is how this works. And she tells him what he needs to do. She says he needs to wait until midnight and then bathe in the river. Then he needed to sacrifice a ewe to Hecate. So that's that. So that's the thing you were asking about what it means to expatiate. I can't remember the word I said. Propitiate, yeah. I don't know. So that's what it means. He needs to sacrifice a little sheep to Hecate.
Yeah, and then he's got to oil up.
Well, no, because then she's like, you have to sacrifice it on a pyre. But then she says, after you do this, you have to leave the pyre and you have to walk away, never looking back. You're going to hear some fucked up things, okay? Because Hecate's a loud eater. She's like,
ooh,
but
I love that.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, but you
That's
can't
so
look
scary.
back. She's like, no matter what you hear, just keep facing forward. Do not look back or you'll ruin everything. And she says the next morning, he's supposed to melt the charm she gave him, strip, and use the oil, anointing his entire body. The ointment would endow him with strength and confidence, so much so that he'd be a match for the gods themselves. And then he could also sprinkle his shield and his spear so that neither spears nor flames could ever harm him and his weapons would never break. And she's like, the charm only works for a day, so don't get used to it, but it's going to be long enough for you to finish this task. And she also said... sorry, my autocorrect changed bulls to bugs. She also told him that after he had yoked the bugs...
Yoke the bug!
Yoke the bug! She also told him that after he had yoked the bulls, plowed the field, and sown the serpent's teeth in the dark earth, giants would spring up out of the fallows, and he needed to wait until a number of them had risen, and then throw a great boulder among them, and they would all fall on it, quote, like famished dogs, and kill one another. That is your moment. Plunge into the fray yourself. She's basically like, and that's the time you're going to get in there and just slaughter everything. And then you'll win. And as she was getting to the end, she kind of looks down and she's like, and then you can, like, go home and never see us again or think about us. And we're going to be fine with it as a city. The city won't even miss you or think about you at all, actually. Oh, and you won't think about the city. And then she started to cry because she's just imagining him leaving her. After a moment, she like took his right hand in hers and she said, quote, but do remember, if you ever reach your home, remember the name Medea. And he's like, I will. I'll never forget you. And then she was like, can you tell me about your home? and also more information about Ariadne. She sounds cool. And so he told her all about his home, how beautiful it was. And she was like, I would like to see it. But like, obviously, no one there would want to see me. She's such a kid.
Girl.
I know. This is like 9 pages of her being like, I don't know. Would they like me? Like, I don't know. He was like, no, of course everyone there would like to see you. You'd be a legend. And then he told her that if she did come to Iolcus, quote, there shall be a bridal bed for you, which you and I will share. Nothing shall part us in our love till death at his appointed hour removes us from the light of day. And Medea's like, oh, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. The story wants to say that, in truth, Hera had already arranged all this, because Hera is the god of marriage. Quote, Medea was to leave her native land for the sacred city of Iolcus, and there to bring his punishment for Peleus. Hera had a plan for Medea, so he didn't come up with this himself. Finally, Jason was like, anyway, I gotta get going. Bye. He's like, but we'll meet each other again, I'm sure. Her maids gathered around her and chattered, but she didn't speak to them. They'd all been spying, by the way, so they'd all heard all that.
Hilarious.
She was in awe of what had just happened. When she got home, her sister tried to ask her about her meeting, but again, she couldn't speak. She just rested her hand. She rested her cheek on her hand, and she pondered the role that she had just played in this story. She's like, oh, I think I did something bad, actually. Uh-oh. That night, Jason sacrificed the ewe to Hecate and left, never turning back, as Medea had instructed. And he just heard these like loud chomps, and he's like, oh my god. He's like walking quicker. He anointed himself with the oil the next day, and then his men took turns trying to attack him. They all had a great time with that one. Like, he was like, try to attack my shield. You can't. And they all just like threw stuff at him, like tried to set him on fire. He managed to overcome every challenge on the day. Like, he managed to yoke the bulls, do all that stuff, following her exact instructions. I don't need to go through all that. Now, all that was needed was for Aedes to keep up his end of the deal and get the fleece that was being guarded by a giant serpent. And Aedes had watched this whole thing, and he's like, what the fuck is happening? And like, at first he was like, that guy's really strong. And then eventually he's like, oh, okay, so obviously my daughter helped him. All right. So that night he was like, you guys go celebrate. I'll get you your fleece tomorrow. And obviously, Aedes can't be trusted. That night, Medea realized she needed to leave, and fast. Her father was going to find out that she had helped him. He had literally watched Jason suddenly have the strength of gods, become fire retardant, and then cut down an entire army of giants. She's like, I don't think he'll think that was luck. I
really like the detail that, like, Aedes does this every month, so it makes sense that she would be working on, like, she didn't just happen to have this. This was like...
You know, that's never said, but of course that's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not mentioned, but you're 100% right. He can do this because of her.
I mean, I don't know whether he is using it, or if she's just like, I want to make sure that, like, my dad... you know, maybe as he's getting older and everything, like, that he can still do this. It just makes sense that she would be, like, preparing something for this specific set of tasks.
She didn't have to ask anybody about it. You're right. She already had it. That's such a good point. She left her house in the middle of the night. She made her way barefoot through the dark streets. As she's, like, going, she's terrified. She's trying to make her way to Jason. The moon looked down and saw her and has this, like, kind of bitchy monologue. The moon has this bitchy monologue where she's like, okay, so I tried to be with the man I loved and everything went to shit, but I guess you get everything you want, don't you, Medea? She said, quote, the little god of mischief has given you Jason and many a heartache with him. Go your way, but clever as you are, still yourself now to face a life of sighs and misery, end quote. Bitchy moon. Medea finally came to a bonfire the Argonauts had kept blazing in celebration of their victory. She called out to them, and they sent a rowboat to fetch her and bring her to their little bonfire. When she got to the ship, she threw her arms around Jason's knees and told him, quote, my dear one, save me from Aedes. Save yourselves. All is discovered. All. And there's nothing we can do. Let us sail away before that man can even mount his chariot, and I myself will give you the golden fleece, putting the guardian snake to sleep. End quote. But she was like, I'll only do it if you make good on your promise to marry me in front of all your men and the gods. You need to vow right now, where I have witnesses, that you're going to marry me. She says, quote, do not expose me to insult and disgrace when I have left my country far away and have no kinsman to protect me, end quote. Which is smart of her.
Yes.
At this point, Jason lifted her to her feet and promised before Zeus and Hera, goddess of marriage, that when they made it back to Hellas, he would marry her. Then he took her right hand in his own, and they rode to the sacred wood where the golden fleece was kept. So she still has some, like, cards to play, too. She's like, my dad's going to come kill you tonight, so I'm your only hope of getting the golden fleece. Mm-hmm. The great serpent immediately began to uncoil and hiss at them, but Medea began to chant a sleeping spell in a sweet voice. Quote, Jason, from behind, looked on in terror, hiding behind her. But the snake was soon calm, its serrated spine smoothed out. Its head was still up and looking at them, but Medea dipped a fresh sprig of juniper in a concoction and sprinkled it over the snake's eyes, and soon it was snoring, completely harmless.
Aww.
Medea called out to Jason to grab the fleece, which makes me laugh, because for sure, there was like a moment where she was like, now? What the hell? And he ran up and he grabbed the fleece. She stayed where she was. She was smearing the snake's head with a wild salve, which I don't know why she was doing that. I like to think just because she liked it. Yeah. Until Jason finally pulled her away and back onto the ship.
She was like, you look dry. Let me...
He did look dry. Jason was overjoyed to have the golden fleece. That was like the only thing he was after. But he was also suddenly terrified someone was going to take it from him. He kept it in his arms. He wouldn't even let his men touch it. He threw a mantle over it to hide it from view. He's like, no one can touch it but me. And then the Argo took off. It wasn't long at all before Aedes, outraged, sailed after them with many ships. On one of the ships, his son Absyrtus was captaining. Aedes told his people that if they failed to bring Medea to him for punishment, he would take his anger out on them. So they were all super motivated to go get Medea. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill her. I'm going to rip her from limb to limb. And if I don't get her, I'm going to do it to one of you.
Shit.
So eventually, the Argonauts did have to meet with Medea's brother, Absyrtus. So he basically cut them all off. And he's like, let's talk. And Absyrtus was like, I propose a treaty. How about you keep the golden fleece because you did win it fair and square. My dad, he said you could have it. You did the challenge. You can have it. In return, we are surrounded by temples to Artemis. You drop Medea off in one of those temples alone, and then we'll have a judge come and determine whether or not she should go back with us or she should go with you. Fair? And Jason was like, yeah, that seems fair. And he comes back, and the second Medea hears this plan, she's like, a word? Husband? So she basically is like, I need to have a word with you because I don't want to scream at you in front of the men. And she gets him alone in a room and she just starts fucking like screaming at him. She's like, where is your honor? You promised to marry me. You promised in front of the gods and in front of your own men. She's like, you like told me all of these things. It was all a lie. You wouldn't have gotten anywhere without me. Literally none of this stuff wouldn't have been done without me. And now when the time comes, you're not going to defend me? Like, what the fuck kind of man are you? Like, she let him have it. It's like a 7-page long monologue.
Hell yeah.
At the end, she's like, I have half the mind to burn this whole goddamn ship to the ground, and I can do it, and I don't even need to light a fucking match. And Jason's like, hey, let's calm down.
I love her.
You're so pretty.
I love her.
Yeah. And so he's like, he's really scared. And he's like, listen, I also don't like this deal, but like, what options do we have? He's like, if we have to fight them, we have 50 Argonauts, they have an entire army, we're going to get slaughtered, and then you have to be taken away anyway. Like, this seems like the only option. Like, at least a judge will come. And she's like, no, we're not fucking doing that. We're not doing any of those things, you stupid idiot. So she came up with a plan, still pissed. She was like, gather a ton of amazing gifts together and send a message to my brother Absyrtus to meet with me alone in the temple of Artemis. So then she wrote him a note to entice him to come meet her. In her note, she said she was planning to steal the golden fleece and head back to Colchis with him. She was like, I never wanted to go. My sister's sons had forced me to go and help them, and I really didn't want to. So please come get me, and I will get the fleece, and we'll just head back together. And then she also endowed the letter with magic to make sure that he would come. And he did. And when he showed up alone at night to meet his sister, Jason snuck out from his hiding spot and attacked him. And Medea covered her eyes so she wouldn't see her brother die a terrible death.
Jesus.
But the man was like completely like had been slashed through. He's holding his chest and he reached out and grabbed her dress and he like turned her like silver dress completely red at the bottoms. And then Jason like hacked off all his limbs.
Fuck.
Yeah. There are some myths. This is what's happening in the Voyage of Argo. There's a lot of myths that say that Medea is the one that slaughtered him and diced him into pieces and then scattered his remains on the road so that her father had to stop and bury him. That doesn't happen in this one. Anyway, quote, but Jason, after lopping off the dead man's extremities, licked up some blood 3 times and 3 times spat the pollution out as killers do in the attempt to expiate a treacherous murderer. End quote.
What?
I guess that's like a whole thing where if you murder somebody, you're supposed to like spit out their blood 3 times. Anyway.
There's like a 5-second rule for murder where if you just lick their blood
I don't know.
a couple times, it doesn't count.
I have no idea. Then he buried the corpse. Medea raised a torch to signal the Argonauts as he was burying the corpse, and at the signal, they descended on Asbyrtus's crew, slaughtering everyone and stealing their ship. Not a single man survived. Quote, Jason joined them, eager to lend a hand, but he came too late. They did not need his help, and they were already wondering whether he needed theirs. End quote.
Boys.
A little bit of ascension. The Argonauts, they're like, wow, that was a little bit brutal. The Argos sailed on, but Medea insisted they stop at Circe's private island. Circe's her aunt. She's a witch. Aww. She's been exiled. Yeah.
I love that.
The island is called Aiaia.
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 Okay, so basically she was like, we need to stop at my aunt's place. And Jason was like, no, we can't stop. And she's like, no, we have to. We have a blood guilt on us. Like, we have to absolve it. And this is the same thing. This happens with Heracles. When Heracles accidentally murdered his wife and children because Hera made him mad, like crazy, not angry. Mm-hmm. He was on a mission to have his like blood guilt resolved. And that's what she needed. She's like, we need to be resolved of this. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad. Like, I killed my own brother. That's unforgivable. And so they stopped to see Circe, and she cleansed them. And then after she had done like the cleansing rite, she sat down with her niece and she's like, so what happened? And her niece was like, so you remember Absyrtus? You like remember my brother? And she told him everything that happened. And Circe was basically like, I mean, I get it, but I don't like it. And then she kicked him out of her house. Circe was the last of Medea's family, by the way. That was like her only hope of like having any family left after this. And she was like, I think she had kind of hoped Circe would be her ally, but now as she was being kicked out, like they talk about Medea just like bursting into tears, like that's the last connection she had to anybody in her life besides Jason. They had some adventures on the way back to Iolcus, but the story is already too long, so we're skipping all of them. We're going back to Jason, and he's returning home finally. He made it to his father, but he found Aeson old and female.
Old and female. Mom?
Good for you. He made it back to his father, but he found Aeson old and feeble and near death. He was devastated, and he turned to Medea to help once again. He's like, what can you do for my dad? And she's like, your dad who's gotten old naturally, of natural causes, what can I do for him? And he's like, yeah, save him, obviously. And Medea was like, okay. So she took all the blood out of his body.
That doesn't sound like saving him.
She infused it with magic herbs, and then she put all his blood back in his body, and it reinvigorated him. Okay, so at this point,
she fucking... I'm sorry. She marinated him?
She marinated him a little. All right, so
we just needed some seasoning.
So we're out of the Voyage of Argo. So now I'm going to a bunch of different other sources and some websites. So I'm going to be jumping a little bit. King Peleus, who was sitting in Jason's seat on the throne, was also sick, and he was also old, and he was also dying. He had 2 daughters who loved him very much, and when they heard that Medea had cured Aeson of his old age, they came to her and they begged her. They were like, can you please help us heal our father too? Like, that would be amazing. And she's like, I can't help you, but you can help yourself. No. Let me tell you how to do it. She cut up an old ram and she put the pieces into a stew. And then she added some magic herbs and stirred the concoction. And as she did so, a young ram jumped out of the stew. And the girls were like, oh my God. And she's like, that's what you got to do to your dad. Put him in a stew.
Listen, he would be better in a stew.
And he'll jump out again, a young ram. The girls were so excited. Now that they knew what to do, they didn't hesitate. They cut their father into pieces and they threw him into a pot. And then they added some herbs and they stirred and stirred. But nothing happened because they weren't magic.
Oh, dad soup.
The king was dead. And that was the end of Peleus, which means that Aeson got the throne again.
That's incredible. Also, I think about that story a lot. Mm-hmm. Horrifying.
Mm-hmm. It also comes up, a lot of the elements in the story kind of informed a lot of the fairy tales that we tell, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That one specifically of, like, stews, dad stews.
Yeah. I think that also happens in the Maenads.
The Maenads do a lot of sacrifice like that.
Yeah.
But usually it doesn't come back, I don't think, as, like, a young good thing. Usually it's, like, ripping heads off rabbits and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, like, in the story of the Maenads, the women who become the Maenads are, like, the family of this awful king.
You're thinking of the Bacchae, Euripides the Bacchae.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when the mom, like, ripped the head off her son and then put it on the spike?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorite plays. I think it's so funny.
Yes. Yeah. It's the similar thing where they're like, you could just put them in a soup and it'll fix them, and it doesn't.
And it doesn't do it. Turns out you can't just like rip them to pieces.
Turns out soup doesn't fix everything.
So now I'm jumping to Medea by Euripides. In brief, very briefly. This is the ending. So Medea has proven herself 100 times. She has given up literally everything. She has killed her own brother. She has saved Jason's dad. She killed the king. She got him his throne. Jason hasn't had to do a single thing on his own.
Yeah.
They lived together, married, for about 10 years. And they had some children. Sources vary on how many, right? But they had children together. She's his queen. She's a good mom. She loves her kids. She makes sure that Jason always has magic around him. Like, he's constantly, like, doing these heroic deeds. People are like, he's the greatest hero of all time. And meanwhile, again, he's only a hero because Medea is magic and she's his wife and she does everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, Jason came to Medea and he told her that actually he had fallen in love with the Princess Glauce and he was going to divorce Medea and get remarried. At this time, I think it's important to remind everyone that women had no power to divorce their husbands, but husbands could divorce their wives. So he weirdly expected her to be cool with this. Like, he came to her, and when she got pissed, he's like, you are so fucking emotional. He told her, he was like, you push everyone away. You don't have any friends because you are so rude all the time, and I don't want to be with you anymore. That young princess is actually really sweet to me, and I want to be with her now.
What a tool.
What a tool. The fury of this encounter, of this, like, huge argument they had, festered in her. She was like, I sacrificed everything for you, and you did not a single thing without my help. And now he was going to publicly disgrace her. That's what he was doing.
He also, like, she had to give up everything to be with him.
And he gave up nothing. He got everything.
But also now she has nothing except for him. And he's like,
I don't want you anymore.
Having second thoughts.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, what's going to happen to her? What's going to happen to her?
What's going to happen to her? And also, he's not planning on taking any of their kids. He literally is going to abandon his whole family. Part of it is that, like, also they don't want the kids there. So this anger is festering. By the way, Medea is the embodiment of rage. At this point, she's just like, oh, fucking hell no. And so she comes up with a plan. She told Jason that she understood why he was doing this. She's like, okay, can we talk about this? I kind of lost my top there for a little bit, but I understand why you're doing this. And although it pains me, you have my blessing. And he's like, oh, good. Great. This was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And then she brought forth two of her little sons, who were, I assume, were Jason's favorites. And she was like, my request is that you accept these two boys into your new family. I think you should keep them with you. You should raise them. They can be little kings. I think it'll be good for them. And, you know, I want the best for them and I want the best for you. So I want you to take them with you. And Jason's like, I don't know. The king, like, her dad already wasn't, like, super pumped at me marrying his daughter because of, you know, the divorce thing. So I don't think he would let these two kids stay with me. Also, like, it's a whole thing of, like, we're going to have babies, obviously. And, like, they won't want these kids competing for the throne. And she's like, no, go just ask. She's like, if anything, have your new wife ask her dad. Like, she's a woman. She'll understand. You should have your children with you. And then she was like, also, what if I sweeten the pot a little bit? She's like, I will make a beautiful coronet and a beautiful dress, and I'll give it to Glauce in exchange for her help. And so as she made them, she delivered them to Jason, and she was like, no one else can touch these except for her. They're so specifically for her. They have to be put directly in her hands. Got it? Don't touch them. And he was like, okay, I'll ask.
Girl stuff.
Just girl stuff. Word came back that the king would accept the children into his castle because Glauce had asked. And also, Glauce had accepted Medea's beautiful coronet and beautiful dress. However, the next word that came back was that the second Glauce had donned the garments, she had died a horrible, painful death.
Sure.
Her father had been nearby and had grabbed her to help her, and he too died from contact with the dress.
Yep.
Everyone knew Medea had poisoned her. They're like, oh shit, so that was Medea. And Jason was on his way back now to confront her.
What exactly did he think was going to happen?
What exactly did he think? Oh.
Just listen, let this be a lesson for every man.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be into scary women,
prepare to get scared.
Yes. And also, don't fuck up.
Don't fuck up.
Don't fuck up.
Everybody wants a hot goth girlfriend until suddenly she's mad at you for, like, abandoning your children.
Yeah. For the dumb shit that you're doing.
Fucking idiots.
It's just, like...
Fucking idiots.
Like, you should always treat your partner with respect. But especially if your partner is a terrifying witch.
He knew it from the beginning. Anyway, so
who has nothing to lose.
She's not done with her revenge against Jason. Not by a long shot. Medea then stabbed both of those sons to death.
What the fuck?
Yeah. She was like, also, I'm taking your children from you. You have no one now. In the play, you don't see her do this, but you hear them screaming and crying to each other. And they're like, Mom's gone crazy. And they're all like screaming and you hear them trying to get out of the house. It's awful. Oof. And then also women from the chorus that have been singing, because, you know, it's a Greek play. Women from the chorus have broken away from the chorus and all the women are trying to get into the house.
Oh,
I know, as the kids are dying inside. Here are some notable quotes from the play. Okay? The things that I like. Quote, hate is a bottomless cup. I will pour and pour. Quote, of all creatures that can feel and think, we women are the worst treated things alive. Mm-hmm. And last one, quote, I know indeed what evil I intend to do, but stronger than all my afterthoughts is my fury that brings upon mortals the greatest of evils. End quote. Also, I can't remember if this is exactly from there, but the whole hell hath no fury than a woman scorned.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah.
Then a woman scored. Hell hath no fury. Score for women.
1 point, women. Anyway, the play kind of ends with Jason and Medea talking to each other after she's done this. She's on the roof and she's about to... Helios has sent a flying chariot. He's like, oh, you got to get out of there, girl. Like, here you go. And he sends a flying chariot. And she's holding the corpses of her two sons because Jason's trying to get into the house because everyone's like, your kids are dead in there. And he's like, what? No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. And he's trying to get in. And then all of a sudden she appears on the roof and she's holding the corpses. She's like, oh, yeah, they are. Here they are. Here's your sons. You were going to leave this. Well, now you can't. And he's like, why the fuck would you do that? And she's like, oh, no, you did this. This is on you. He's like, you're crazy. And she's like, am I crazy? Or am I seeing clearly for the first time? Anyway, they're having like...
They're both crazy.
They're both insane. Ooh,
they are messy.
She's gone fucking mad. And so they're having this like long thing. And basically he's like, I never did anything to you. Or he basically like is like, I never did anything wrong. And she's like, yeah, here's your dead kids, you bastard. And then she gets into the chariot and she flies away. And he's left like crying on the ground. Because he has nothing. He doesn't have anybody else to go off to, and he has no more children. Okay, so the after, just very quickly, Medea escaped in her flying chariot. She sought refuge in Athens, where she eventually marries the king, whose name is King Aegeus. They have a son who they named Metis, like Medea. Mm-hmm. One day, though, Theseus shows up, and he proves he's Aegeus' son. And Medea is like, oh, great. And then she tries to poison him. Mm-hmm. But, of course, Aegeus is like, oh, my wife's going to try to poison him. So he stops the poisoning and he exiles her from Athens. Some stories say Medea then went to Iran and Metis became a great conqueror and founded a kingdom. And other versions say they returned to their home in Colchis after Aeetes was deposed by his brother Perses and that Medea restored her father to his throne and was forgiven. Either way, that's the story of Jason and Medea.
Damn.
History has not looked kind on Medea. I will say up until very recently, people have been like, Medea's crazy, and that's what you get when you cross a crazy bitch. Like, she killed her kids. Isn't that terrible? And I will say in the last, especially the last, like, decade, women have specifically been like, no. From the very beginning, Medea was set up. Because she was normal until Eros shot her, and then they kept overdoing it with how much they were pushing Jason on her. Like, that's a huge part of this, is that she became literally mad with her obsession with Jason because of the gods interfering with her.
Yeah. It's not like a... I hate to even say this, but it's like the thing of like, don't stick your dick in crazy. It's like she... Mm-hmm. Was not crazy.
No.
She was driven crazy.
She was also she was such a devout priestess of Hecate. Like, she was totally fine with just like studying her magic and living her life and being loyal to her family. So like that's the very first thing is that like no, none of this happened because of her. But then she lost literally everything and got so far into it and she was used so much. Obviously I don't condone her killing her children. The play is also awful because she loves her kids. Like it's literally a war between what is going to win out here, my love for my children or my hate for my husband, and the hate for her husband wins out. Yeah. But also, Jason. What a piece of shit. He does nothing. He's not a hero.
No.
He's just not a hero.
Yike.
Yeah. I mean, that's Jason and Medea.
What a tool.
Is there anything that was surprising?
I think I've gotten most of the story piecemeal over the years.
Yeah, same.
I don't think I knew about the ending.
Her killing her children?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's the only part I knew. That's why I was surprised that you only brought up the Argonauts. I was like, really? Because the only thing I know is Euripides' play.
I think that the part that I know is specifically the Argonauts. I was like, oh, and then Medea helped, and they, like the stories that I've heard end with like his return to Colchis. No, sorry, Ilchis, his hometown, his home. Yeah, and it's like, and hooray, and he did it, and that's the end that I've heard.
Yeah, no, it keeps going.
Shit.
She straight up murders her babies. I was surprised at your reaction to the Argonauts. That made me like the Argonauts more because, again, having only known her killing her children at the end, I was like, I don't give a fuck about the Argonauts.
They're just boys.
And now I kind of love them.
Yeah.
You were totally right. That was a whimsical boys trip they took.
Yes. Yeah. I love it because also, like, I know a little bit about, like, who is on the crew of the Argo and everything. Mm-hmm. And anytime, literally, there's no way to explain who goes on this trip except by doing the, like meet the team thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yeah.
And then there's this guy, and he's super cool because of this. And he's best friends with Jason because they were in the war together. And like,
yes. Except that Jason had never been in a war.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. A real tool.
Yeah. Useless. I've actually never heard a story about a hero that was that useless.
Yeah. Really, really useless.
Even Theseus does stuff. Like, Theseus makes moves, and you're like, that's a brave guy, at least, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't said it. I'm doing Theseus and Ariadne next week.
Guys, you're going to love it. I'm so excited.
I have personal beef with Theseus.
Yes.
But at least he does anything.
He has a whole history before this, you know? And that's the thing, too, is like, Chiron, get your boy.
Get your boy.
Chiron has very specifically raised a couple of great heroes, including Achilles. And they did stuff. They were brave. They battled their own morality. Jason does not battle his morality at all.
He doesn't battle anything.
Jason constantly thinks that this is how the world works, that like everyone's going to be nice to you all the time, that you deserve everything to be handed to you, that actually he did hard work, even though she sacrificed everything and gave him God strength. He's like, I did that.
Just to reiterate one final time, Jason Stackhouse.
Yeah, you're totally right, and I hate it, but yes, you're right. He's a complicated character.
Yeah.
He is. He's not great, but he's also wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of Ryan Quantum.
Yes. He's baby boy and the worst person on the planet.
He is inexcusably bad, and I think
in exactly the same ways.
We're talking about True Blood, by the way.
Yes.
About a character who is inexcusably bad, to the point where, like, he's basically with what is an allegory for white supremacists, you know? Yes. Like, and he still somehow manages to be the most lovable character. You're like, what the fuck, Jason?
Yeah. He
hits his sister in the face, and we forgive him so soon.
Yeah.
God, that show is wild.
That show is so crazy.
It's because of the actor. He makes that the most lovable fucking character.
Yeah. But also, I mean, it is kind of that, like, that understanding of the world where it's like, what? Something didn't go my way.
But why?
No. But everything's so unfair.
Yeah, he's had pretty privilege his whole life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much, to me, now in this moment, I'm like, these characters are inextricable from each other.
Yeah.
Because it's very much the, like, captain of the football team.
Yeah.
Like,
all the friends.
Like, always has the girlfriends with his friends. And then, like,
always
they
cheating.
Get to go on a trip together.
Yeah.
But also, the Argonauts.
That's just boys. Yeah, that is fun. That is fun. That makes me happy.
Yeah. It's the same part of me that is like, pirates. Like, pirates are just hanging out. And it's the same.
calls them a bunch of pirates.
Yeah.
He's right. Well, okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
That was a long-ass story.
Yeah, it was good. I had a great time.
Thank you. I feel like I stumbled through a bunch of that. It's going to be real fun to edit.
No. Clear as a bell.
Thank you. So we're going to head out now. What we're thinking with the April Fool's episode, do you want to tell them? Because I was thinking that we could talk about it in this episode, but I think you're totally right. I think that it would be more fun to do a separate thing.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is, by now, when this releases, hopefully everybody has come across the April Fool's prank. Mm-hmm. We're going to do like a little Zoom hangout where you guys can come and talk to us and ask us questions about it. We'll like address a couple of the questions we've gotten. Maybe we could even do like a live viewing or something.
Maybe. We'll do something fun for that.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a part of that, join our Discord.
Join
that's
the
where we do
Discord.
That's where we do all of our updates and we post all of our live hangs. Anybody on the Discord gets to come hang out with us.
Yeah.
So definitely do that. You can join the Discord by joining our Patreon at the $3 level or at the $7 level. You can get the Discord and bonus episodes. Go join us on Instagram and TikTok where we'll post some stuff. We'll definitely post it on Instagram. I don't know about TikTok.
Yeah.
And email us at sortofthestory@gmail.com if you have any thoughts about this episode or anything at all. And visit our website, www.sortofthestory.com, if you want to find some more stories and links and stuff like that. Anything else, Max?
Tell your friends.
And tell your friends. And please rate and review this podcast. 5 stars in Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcast.
Give us 5 stars in Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I would be super happy. And we will see you in 2 weeks to celebrate my birthday with Max telling us the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. Goodbye.
Bye. What do you think is the hardest part of what I do for a living?
Dealing with the people. Dealing with all the teachers and the staff. Not reading your emails is probably the hardest part.
That's up there.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part of your job is the, I don't want to say the children.
No, the children
it's not
are kind
their
of
fault,
easy.
But
the children are kind of
that's
easy.
the part that seems hardest to me. I'm sure I know that that's not hard for you.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Everybody who doesn't like elementary school, they're like, how could you do it? And I'm like, it's the easiest part about it because kids are very fun. It's the adults that usually make it harder.
See, at my job, if I'm in a bad mood, it's fine. It's just fine because I just still do my job and then...
Yeah. That happens in my job too.
Yeah.
But also I have to yell at a bunch of kids. I'm so mean to them sometimes. I do feel really, really bad about that. It's fine. Okay. What's the best part of your job?
Helping.
Oh.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when a student comes into my office and they're like, "Hi, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." And I'm like, "Hey, it's okay.
I know what you're doing."
Yeah. We're going to figure it out together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most fun part. And also using a corporate credit card that I don't have to pay off. It's also very fun.
That is fun.
I could just submit a $400 Amazon order and it's like, fine.
Nothing.
It's nothing. It is nothing to them.
It's the power, really.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of your job?
This is so cheesy. The kids are the best part of the job. They're very funny. They're very sweet. And yeah, I like the kids a lot. I would not have said that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it was so rough. I didn't like a single part of my job. But this year, I really am having fun with the kids.
That's good.
And also the bees that will be in my classroom soon. That's fun.
Kids and bees.
I just like kids and I like bees. And I like it when I combine them and they're both in my classroom.
Yeah. I feel like those are two of the most common phobias.
Kids and bees. Yeah, and I like both of them. Brave. She's brave. She's not afraid.